Hey everybody, this is Daniel again. This week we're going to be doing something a little bit different with a backstory about Xalak as we wait for our DM Justin to recover from some surgery. But don't fret, next week we're going to be back at it with our normal campaign. Hope you enjoy. In the nation of Geb, death is not an end, it is an institution. Once a land of living ambition, Geb is now ruled by the will of the undead. Its rulers are liches, ghosts and ancient intelligences, who have long since cast aside their need of the living. The dead walk openly in the streets, not as monsters, but as citizens, soldiers, and masters. The living, known simply as the quick, exist beneath them, tolerated only so long as they remain useful. At the heart of its nation lies Mekatar, a city of cold lights and quiet horrors. Its streets are lit by corpse blue lanterns, its silence broken only by the measured steps of undead enforcers. Here, life is cheap, death is common, and neither is particularly remarkable. In Mekatar, survival is not a matter of strength or kindness, but of usefulness. And for those born among the quick, the lesson is learned early. No one is coming to save you. Night in Mekatar did not fall so much as settle. A slow, suffocating descent of ash-thin darkness that clung to the skin and crept into the lungs. The city did not sleep. It stilled. Lanterns of corpse light burned with a steady corpse blue glow, casting long, unmoving shadows that seemed less cast than anchored, as though they belonged to something unseen beneath the streets. Xalak moved through them like a wisp. He was small for his years, all bone and sharp angles, wrapped in a coat too large for him and too thin to matter. His hair, pale as old straw, caught the lantern light and dulled it, turning gold into something nearer to gray. His green eyes were restless, always searching, always measuring. Hunger had hollowed his cheeks, but not his mind. He paused at the mouth of an alley, where the cobbles gave way to damp, packed earth. The air there was wrong, colder, tinged with something sweet and rotten, like flowers left too long upon the grave. Someone had died here. Xalak did not flinch. He slipped inside. The body lay half-curled against the wall, one arm bent at an unnatural angle, fingers stiff as claws. A man once, though Mekatar had a way of stripping such distinctions. His skin had gone the color of candle wax, lips drawn back just enough to bare the teeth in something like a grin. Xalak crouched beside him, silent.
Too fresh.
His voice was soft, hoarse from disuse, as if words were a tool he kept sheathed unless needed. He waited. In Mekatar, patience was life. The dead were not always still, and the almost dead were worse. He watched the man's chest. No rise, no fall. The eyes, half-lidded, did not move. Only then did Xalak reach forward. His fingers brushed the man's coat, quick and practiced, searching for weight, for shape, coin, knife, anything of use. He found little. A strip of dried meat, gone hard as leather. A bent clasp, worthless. His mouth tightened.
Then you are of no use,
he said, not unkindly, merely a fact. He began to rise and paused. There beneath the corpse shoulder, something protruded, not cloth, not flesh, leather. Xalak's gaze sharpened, carefully, so carefully he shifted the body. It gave a faint wet sound, the kind that would have turned another child's stomach. Xalak did not so much as blink. The object slid free, a book, Not large, not ornate. Its cover was cracked, the leather dry and flaking at the edges. No title marked its face, no sigil. Only a faint impression where something might have been pressed into it. Now worn smooth by time and handling. Xalak stared. Books were rare among the quick. Knowledge rare still. He glanced once over his shoulder. The alley was empty. The corpse light did not reach this far. The shadows pressed close, thick as velvet. Watching, he did not know why the thought came, only that it did. A prickle along his spine, a tingling at the base of his skull. For a moment, he hesitated. Then hunger, of a different kind, won out. Xalak tucked the book beneath his coat.
Mine.
He did not open it at once. That, too, was a lesson Mekatar had carved into him. Nothing is free and nothing is safe. He carried it with him through the night, through the winding alleys and silent courtyards where statues of long-dead nobles watched with sightless eyes, past the skeletal laborers hauling stone without rest, past the pale overseers who did not look at him and therefore did not care. Only when he reached his place, a narrow hollow beneath two leaning walls, half hidden by a collapsed beam, did he finally stop. It was not shelter, not truly, but it was his. Xalak slipped inside, drawing his coat tight around him. The cold settled in quickly, gnawing at his fingers, his ears, the tip of his nose. He ignored it. The book lay in his lap. For a long moment, he simply looked at it. Then, slowly, he opened it. The pages were brittle, yellowed with age. The script was cramped, ink faded but legible. Dense lines of careful hand, each word placed with deliberate precision. Xalak frowned. He knew letters after a fashion, enough to read signs, to piece together scraps. This was more. He traced a line with his finger, lips moving silently as he sounded the words.
The animus persists beyond cessation.
He stopped, went back, read it again. Something stirred. He turned the page. Diagrams now, circles within circles, lines intersecting at sharp, deliberate angles. Symbols he did not know, but which seemed to mean something nonetheless. Beneath them, more script.
Binding requires not force alone, but will. The lesser mind yields, the greater imposes.
The cold receded, forgotten. He read on. Minutes passed, or hours. Time lost its shape in the dim blue glow that seeped into his hollow. Words became patterns, patterns became ideas, and the ideas fit. Not like the ramblings of drunks or the half-truths faded in the streets. This was clean, ordered, logical. Life ended, but something remained. And that something could be used. Xalak's fingers tightened on the page.
Death is not destruction, but transition, a state in which the body, freed of its lesser impulses, may be directed with perfect obedience.
A faint smile touched his lips.
Obedience.
The words felt right. He turned another page, faster now. A passage caught his eye, short, almost an aside. Scrawled in a tighter hand, the corpse is the most honest servant. It does not hunger, it does not fear, it does not betray. Xalak let out a quiet breath.
Yes.
Not loud, not triumphant, certain. Beyond the narrow gap of his shelter, the shadows shifted. Not with wind, there was no wind. A presence lingered there, vast and patient. Like a tide that had chosen not to advance, it watched the boy, the book, the moment as it unfolded with quiet inevitability. The Lich did not smile. Such expressions had long since lost their meaning. But there was satisfaction. The placement had been precise. The corpse freshly dead but unremarkable. the patrols diverted at the proper hour. The hunger allowed to sharpen, but not to break. All variables accounted for. And now, the result. Inside the hollow, Xalak turned back to the first page. He read it again, slower this time. Not as a scavenger picking through scraps, but as a student.
No.
He murmured softly, as if correcting the unseen author.
Not force alone.
His green eyes gleamed in the corpse light.
Control.
The word settled into him, deep and certain, like a stone dropped into still water. Control. Outside, the shadows stilled once more, and the city of the dead bore silent witness, as something new began to take root within one of the living. Night had teeth in Mekatar. It bit at the edges of the alleys, gnawed the mortar from the walls, and worried at the bones of the quick, until only the hard and clever remained. A year had carved itself in Xalak, into the set of his shoulders, the way he placed his feet, the stillness that came over him when he listened. He was taller now, although no less thin. Hunger had not left him. He had merely learned to wait. He paused beneath a sagging awning, stitched from mismatched cloth and old funeral veils. The sign above creaked softly on a rusted chain. No name, no need. He slipped inside. The shop was a graveyard of things that had forgotten what they were. Shelves leaned under the weight of tarnished trinkets, rings set with cloudy stones, cracked files that smelled faintly of rot and resin, lengths of chain that whispered against one another as if remembering wrists. A skull, polished to a dull sheen, stared from the corner with empty patience. The air was thick with dust and something sweeter beneath it, like wilted flowers pressed into old books. Behind a crooked counter stood the woman. One-eyed watched him. The other socket was covered by a leather patch, stitched cruelly and long since darkened with age. Her remaining eye was pale, the color of spoiled milk, and sharp as a needle.
Quick! You've learned to walk quieter.
Xalak did not answer. He let his gaze drift, measuring, counting exits, weighing distance. The floorboards creaked in familiar places. A bell hung near the door, but its clapper was missing. Intentional.
Not here to buy.
She went on, as if continuing a conversation he had not begun.
Not with those bones.
Her mouth twisted. It might have been a smile.
Looking, then. Looking is free. For now.
Xalak inclined his head a fraction. A courtesy stripped to its bones. He moved, not aimlessly, never that. His fingers hovered over objects, never quite touching, as though the air itself might reveal what the hand could not. He passed a rack of knives, their edges nicked and hungry. A bundle of rods etched with sigils worn smooth by use. A jar of teeth, mismatched and faintly chattering, as the doors breathed, and then he stopped. It lay half hidden in a tray of broken implements, as if it had been discarded by someone who did not understand what it was. A wand, not polished, not adorned. A length of old bone, bleached to pale gray, its surface carved with thin, spiraling lines that seemed to coil inward toward a darkened tip. The air around it trembled, just slightly, like heat over stone, but colder, sharper. Xalak felt it before he thought it. A prickle along his skin, a tightening in his chest. Not fear, recognition. He reached out, then drew his hand back. The woman watched him. Her one eye did not blink.
Ah, you see it.
Her fingers tapped the counter, slow and deliberate.
Ugly thing. Bites if you don't know how to hold it. Killed the last boy who tried. Not that he was worth much.
Xalak said nothing. His gaze did not leave the wand.
How much?
More than you have.
She replied without hesitation. A lie, perhaps, or truth. It did not matter. Xalak's eyes flickered once. Door, counter, her hands, the angle of her stance, the tray. The distance. He shifted just slightly.
Show me the rings,
He said, gesturing towards a cluttered stand near the far wall. Her eye narrowed.
Rings?
for binding. Small work.
A beat. Then, with a soft snort, she pushed herself away from the counter.
Dreaming big for a gutter rat.
She muttered, shuffling towards the stand.
Come then, let's see what your fingers think they know.
Xalak moved with her, but not quite. He let his steps lag. His attention seemed divided. As she bent her back to him, rummaging through a tangle of metal and bone, he acted. A flicker of motion, the wand vanished beneath his coat, tucked tight against his ribs. The bell did not ring. The floor did not creak, but the woman froze. Slowly, so slowly, she straightened.
You took it.
Not a question. Xalak was already moving. The alley spat him out into the night. He ran, not blindly. He cut left then right, slipping through narrow passages where the walls leaned so close enough to brush his shoulders. His breath came fast, but controlled. The wand was warm against him now, thrumming faintly, as if it had found a pulse and decided to mimic it. Behind him, a voice rose, a shriek, sharp and furious.
Thief!
Footsteps followed, faster than they should have been for someone her age. Xalak did not look back. He turned again, ducked beneath a hanging line of damp cloth, vaulted a broken crate. The city shifted around him, alleys bending, shadows thickening. For a moment, just a moment, the path ahead seemed to open. A turn he did not remember led him into a narrow street, darker than the rest. As he passed through it, the path closed behind him. The corpse lights here had guttered low. Their glow dim and sickly. He slowed. A mistake.
Easy, pretty.
The voice slid out of the dark like oil. 3 shapes detached themselves from the shadows ahead. Men, or something close enough. Their clothes were a patchwork of stolen finery and ragged cloth. Bright sashes tied carelessly at their waists. Blades hanging loose at their sides. Their smiles were too wide, too eager, as though they had learned what amusement looked like, but not why. The one in the middle, broad-shouldered, with a beard braided in uneven knots, tilted his head.
What's that you got there? Looks like a right pretty toy.
His companion chuckled, a low, wet sound. Xalak stilled.
Nothing of yours.
The man grinned wider.
Everything's ours down here. That's the way of it.
He took a step forward, knife glinting in the dim light.
Hand it over, and we might only carve you up a little.
Laughter again. Xalak's fingers slipped beneath his coat, closing around the wand. It pulsed, eager. He drew it free. The bone gleamed faintly, its carved lines catching what little light there was. The men's eyes widened.
Oh-ho! He's got bite, this one.
Good. I was getting bored.
He lunged. The ground broke, not cracked, not shifted, broke. The cobbles beneath his feet split apart with a wet, tearing sound, as though something beneath him had grown tired of waiting. The man's foot plunged into sudden darkness. His grin shattered into a scream as the earth swallowed him to the knee, then the waist, and then something pulled. A hand, gray, slick with clinging soil, fingers digging in with terrible strength. Then another, and another. The scream cut off. There was sound, tearing, rending, final. The alley fell silent. For a heartbeat, nothing moved. Then the earth heaved. The corpse rose. It came up in pieces, dragging itself free of the broken ground. Flesh hung in strips, dark and glistening. Its face, what remained of it, was a ruin. One eye gone, the other dull, unfocused white. Dirt clung to it like a second skin. It turned. The two remaining men stared.
What in the...
It lunged. The first went down beneath it, his laughter turning to choking panic as dead hands closed around his throat. The second stumbled back, knife flashing, carving into flesh that did not feel. The blade sank deep, too deep, and stuck. The corpse did not slow. It tore. It broke. It did not stop. Xalak watched, his breath gone still. His fear was there, thin, sharp, but it sat beneath something else, something colder. Fascination. The wand trembled in his grip. He raised it.
Stop.
The word came out steady. The corpse froze. It stood amidst the ruin it had made, head cocked at an unnatural angle, as if listening. Xalak's eyes lit.
Yes.
He took a step forward, lifting the wand higher.
You will obey. Kneel.
The corpse did not move. A flicker of confusion crossed his face.
I said, kneel.
Silence. Then it laughed. Not with its mouth. Its lips barely moved. The sound came from deeper, from somewhere that did not belong to the torn body that housed it. A dry, hollowed thing, like wind through a crypt. Xalak's grip tightened.
Obey!
The corpse's head turned fully toward him, and when it spoke, its voice was not its own. You reach for command before you understand what it is you hold. The words were measured, calm, ancient. They settled into the air with weight. Xalak did not lower the wand.
Who are you?
A question of little value. Names are for those who require them. The corpse took a step forward. Its movements were precise now, no longer the wild, tearing violence of moments before. You have found a tool, and you believe that possession grants mastery. Xalak's jaw set.
It responds to will. I have will.
A pause, then almost approval. Indeed. The corpse inclined its head, a mockery of respect. But will alone is not dominion. Not here. Not in this world. It gestured, one slow sweep of a ruined arm, toward the alley. The three dead bodies, the city beyond. Look around you. Chaos devours the weak. It wastes. It consumes without purpose. Its gaze fixed on him. Do you find that efficient? Xalak hesitated.
No.
The answer came quickly, too quickly to be anything but truth. Good. The word was soft. Then you see the flaw. The corpse stepped closer still, close enough now that Xalak could smell the damp rot of it, the cold earth clinging to its skin. Life is disorder. It fears. It hesitates. It betrays itself. A tilt of the head. Death does not. Xalak's eyes flicked to the bodies at its feet.
They obey.
Yes. The word settled like stone. They can obey when properly commanded. Xalak lifted the wand slightly.
I commanded you.
And you were ignored.
Why?
Because you have not yet earned the right to be obeyed. The alley seemed to tighten around them.
What does that mean?
It means that power is not seized in a moment of desperation with a stolen instrument. The corpse's ruined hand lifted, tapping lightly, almost gently, the wand. It is built, structured, refined, governed. Xalak's brow furrowed.
Governed.
La. The word lingered, even here. Where decay is king, there is order, hierarchy, purpose. A faint shift in tone, almost reverent. The Lady of Graves teaches that all things end. But there are those who understand that ending is not annihilation, but transformation. A whisper of something else beneath the words, a name unspoken but present. Urgathoa. Her shadow long and indulgent. Why waste what can be directed? Why allow chaos to squander what could serve? Xalak's grip tightened on the wand. His eyes flickered to the bodies and back up.
Then something controlled could and would be stronger, more efficient.
Yes, now you begin to understand. The corpse straightened. What you hold is a fragment of greater discipline, a language you do not yet speak. It stepped back, but you could. Xalak's breath caught.
How?
The corpse regarded him. By learning. By discarding weakness. By embracing what the world is rather than what lesser minds wish it to be. By choosing order over chaos. The words sank deep. Xalak looked down at the wand. The carved lines seemed to shift beneath his gaze, patterns waiting to be understood. When he looked up again, his eyes were brighter, sharper.
I will learn.
The corpse was still. For a moment, the alley held its breath. Then, slowly, it inclined its head. I know. The force that had animated withdrew like a tide, leaving only ruin behind. Xalak stood alone. The wand was warm in his hand. Around him, Mekatar watched in silence. And somewhere beyond sight, beyond sound, a patient will took note and began to plan the next lesson. The night had been uneasy long before the boots came. In Mekatar, unease was a subtle thing. No cries, no riot of voices, only a tightening of the air, a hush that settled over the alleys, like dust over a coffin lid. The corpse lights burned low and steady. Their blue glow stretched thin across the stone, as though even the dead watched and waited. Xalak felt it before he saw them. He stood half hidden beneath a broken arch, one shoulder pressed to cold stone, the wand tucked beneath his coat. 16 now, leaner, harder, his sharpness honed into something deliberate. His eyes moved, always moving, measuring distance, exits, angles. Then the sound came, not loud, ordered. Boots, many, in rhythm. He did not run, running marked you. Instead, he slipped into the flow of the street, quick among the quick, heads down, shoulders bent, bodies drifting like refuse through the narrow veins of the city. They came around the corner like a verdict. Undead enforcers, pale figures in dark armor, their movements too precise, too clean, no wasted motion, no hesitation. Their eyes burned faintly, cold and indifferent, as they spread through the streets with quiet efficiency. Hands seized, bodies dragged. A man screamed once before his throat was opened, clean, practiced. Another struggled, was struck, fell silent. Chains rattled. Orders were not shouted. They were obeyed before being spoken. Roundups like these were not uncommon in Mekatar. The undesirables corralled, butchered, forced into an eternity of undead servitude. Xalak watched, not with fear, with calculation. A turn, a gap between two bodies, a narrow passage. A hand closed around his arm. Iron fingers. Unyielding, he did not resist, not yet. He turned his head slowly. She stood before him, tall, still. Her face was pale and drawn, lips thin as a knife edge, eyes like dim coals. A white, older than the others, sharper. And she wore blue, not the corpse light's hue, not the dull gray of the dead. Blue, faded, worn, but unmistakable. It struck him like a memory he did not have, a color that did not belong here. For a moment, just a moment, something stirred at the edges of his mind. A wall, a brightness, a sense of warmth. Gone as quickly as it came, Xalak blinked. The White's gaze narrowed.
Quick!
She said, her voice dry as old parchment.
And hiding teeth.
Her grip tightened.
Name?
Xalak.
He said, no hesitation. Names were tools. Lies were wasted where truth sufficed. Her eyes flicked over him, his stance, his stillness. Then, with sudden motion, she tore open his coat. The wand fell into her hand. Silence followed. Even the other enforcers seemed to pause, their movements slowing, attention shifting, subtle, but there. The White turned the wand over in her fingers. The bone gleamed faintly, its carved lines catching the corpse light.
Well, this is interesting.
Xalak said nothing. Inside, his mind moved. Distance, angle, her grip, the others.
You've been busy.
She went on, almost amused.
This isn't gutter scrap.
Her eyes lifted to his.
Where did you get it?
Found it.
A lie. A truth. It made no difference. She studied him a long moment.
I think I'll keep it.
Her grip on the wand tightened.
As for you,
Her gaze drifted, thoughtful now.
you might fetch a price. Living, perhaps. Or not. Either way, you're of more use than most.
She turned slightly, gesturing towards the others.
Take him.
The word did not echo. It did not need to. It settled, like a weight placed upon the world. Every movement stopped. The enforcers froze, not as commanded, but as though the idea of disobedience had been erased before it could form. The air grew still. A presence moved through the streets, not seen at first, but felt, like cold seeping into bone, like the moment before a storm breaks, when the world holds its breath. Then he was there. No grand entrance, no flourish. He simply stood. Tall, composed, wrapped in dark robes that seemed to drink the corpse light rather than reflect it. His face was pale, ageless in the way of things that had forgotten time. His eyes deep, ancient, and utterly certain, fell upon the White. She stepped back, not much, enough.
Jorgel the Adherent.
She said, and for the first time, something like tension touched her voice. He did not acknowledge the name. His gaze moved past her to Xalak. The world narrowed. For a moment, just a moment, Xalak felt as though he had been found. Jorgel stepped forward. The White lowered her head, almost imperceptibly. The wand. 2 words, quiet, absolute. She hesitated, a mistake. The air tightened, then she extended it, offering the bone length with both hands. Jorgel took it. His fingers closed around it, and the faint tremor that had lived within the wand stilled, as if recognizing a greater will. He turned it once, then, without looking, extended towards Xalak. Yours. Xalak took it. The bone was warm. He did not thank him. Jorgel's gaze lingered a moment longer, then, without turning, leave. The enforcers moved instantly. No protest, no delay. They withdrew, dragging the remaining captives with them. The street emptied as swiftly as it had filled. The White was the last to go. Her eyes flickered once to Xalak. Something unreadable there. Then she was gone. The blue of her shirt swallowed by shadow. Silence returned. Only the 2 of them remained. Jorgel regarded him. 16.
Yes.
You did not beg.
No.
Why?
Begging doesn't change outcomes.
A flicker. Approval. Faint as breath. No, it does not. He stepped closer, measured. You carry a tool you do not yet understand. You survive in a place designed to consume you. You observe. You wait. You choose your moment. His head tilted slightly, and you think. Xalak said nothing. You have seen what chaos produces. Waste. Noise. inefficiency. His eyes sharpened, and you have seen what control creates. The memory rose unbidden, bodies moving with purpose, the dead obeying the order of it.
Yes.
Tell me, what do you want?
Power.
Why?
So I am not at the mercy of others.
And?
So I can decide what lives and what doesn't.
Good. Not praise, recognition. Jorgel turned slightly, his gaze lifting towards the distant rise where black spires cut into the sky. The domain of the learned, the disciplined, the powerful. The Ebon Mausoleum. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
A whisper of something in Xalak's voice now. Interest. Hunger. Jorgel inclined his head. Within its walls, power is not stolen in the dark or grasped in desperation. It is built, refined, structured, perfected. What you hold is a fragment, a beginning. I offer you the rest. You will learn. You will master what others fear. You will bend death itself to your will, not through chance, but through understanding. And in time, you will stand above those who would drag you through the dirt and sell your bones for coin. Xalak's breath slowed. The city around him, the hunger, the filth, the endless scrapping for survival, fell away, replaced by something sharper, clearer, a path.
Why me?
Because you are not like them. You see the world as it is, not as lesser minds wish it to be, and because you have the discipline to become more. Silence stretched. Xalak looked down at the wand, at the carved lines, at the future it promised, then back up.
I will come.
Of course you will. They walked through the silent streets of Mekatar, past the corpse lights and the watching dark, toward the distant black spires that rose like teeth against the night. Xalak did not look back. Ahead, the mausoleum waited, and within it, knowledge, power, control. Behind them, the city closed in once more, swallowing the place where a boy had stood, and where something else had begun. The blue of a forgotten wall flickered at the edge of his mind, then vanished, and the night took them.